If you have one of these budget drones, I've uncovered some hidden features on the transmitter and the app that I thought people might be interested in. Now, one of the tricks I've found with the transmitter is going to apply probably to any of the drones that use this same transmitter, and that includes, at least the last time I checked, there was several that use this same transmitter. There will be SJRC F22S 4K Pro, which is what I have here, the Holystone HS360 STB, the Holystone HS360S, Holystone HS600D, Triplefine TF35 Pro, and a Ruko F11GIM2 or GIM2. Last I looked, all of those use this same transmitter. So this first tip should apply to any of those that use this same remote. Both of these features or tips that I'm going to give you, they're really not that useful. They're just, I thought they were kind of interesting, and I am very inquisitive, so I was trying all kinds of different combinations of buttons to push, screen taps and stuff to try to see if there was anything hidden on these units. So let me show you what I found. This first one here kind of answers one of the questions that a lot of people have on these more budget drones, is why their gimbals are not very sensitive. So let me show you this. Hold the emergency stop button up here. Now I know some of these have different functions on these buttons, but I'm guessing that even though the buttons does something different on your remote, it might still work. So in mine, this is the emergency stop button. So hold that button down while you power it up. So I'm gonna hit the button once, the power button once. It's gonna light that up, hit it again and hold it. Now what you'll see is this powers up in a diagnostic mode, and what you'll find is as you move the sticks, you're going to see these values changing. And I think one of the, at least my complaint, or the one I've heard the most, is the yaw sensitivity is really poor. Let me show you something that will kind of make sense on why that is. So as I move this stick, if you watch and see how long it takes before you see a reaction. See, it's just barely started moving, and I've moved the stick almost halfway to its full span. So you're going to move that almost half of the distance that you can before it even starts reacting. That's why you're getting really poor response. If you're just barely tapping it, you're not going to get any response. So you got to really move it slow, and then when you get about halfway, that's when it's going to start moving. So if you're careful enough and you get it to just that halfway point, you will get some decent yaw control. And that's the same with all the different controls. If I push the throttle up, I've got to move it almost halfway to its span before I get a reaction out of it. Same with the pitch and roll. Same thing, I'm moving that halfway for its full span. So that happens on all of these. You'll see some other values down here. Other than just seeing if your sticks are working, you can also hit buttons. You'll see this little image right here change as you hit the button. Just so you know the buttons are functional, I guess. I've never been able to figure out if there's anything else to this so that you can do. But maybe accessing that, you guys can experiment a little bit and see if it does something else. And you know, all the buttons, the little potentiometers up front that adjust the pitch of the pan and tilt camera. You'll see a reaction on that as well when you move those controls. And then the zoom, same thing. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting find. I was just trying to hold different buttons down as I powered it up, and then I just came across that diagnostic screen, so I figured people might be interested in that. So let me power it back off. Okay, so when you're in this diagnostic mode, it won't give you a notification on the screen, but you still have to push the button once, let go, and then push it again and hold it. So let me push it once, and then I'll push it again and hold it, and then that will turn off the screen. Okay, so now let me power it back up, and I'm going to show you something I found in the app. All right, so now let me power it back up. Going to hit it once, hit it again, power it on. Now, as long as I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and power up the drone so I can connect to it while I'm doing that. So let me hit the button. I'm going to push and hold the power button on that. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside for now. I'll come back to that in a minute when I show you something. So it's going to take a minute to connect. You don't have to connect for this part, but I'm going to anyway, just so it'll be a little more interesting. Now we are connected. I'm going to set this aside. Now I'm screen capturing this as well. So when I find something interesting, if you can't see it on this screen, I'll switch to the screen capture. But so let's go to the control screen on the app.
Obstacle avoidance mode.
Okay. So let me show you something here. So as you can see here now on the screen, you can see I'm rocking it back and forth. The gimbal is working. Let me set that aside now. What the one thing I found in here, if I hit these three dots to go into this configuration, go to your pan tilt zoom adjust. See how you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 5 options here on this screen. If you tap this screen, just in this blank area here, tap it 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're going to unlock some extra features here that you can play with. I haven't really found anything useful for this stuff yet. One thing in particular, you've got a pan tilt zoom switch. If I click on that, and now it says on. See, the gimbal is still working right now. If I tap that again, now it says off. Now, if you can look, I'm going to tip this. It turns the gimbal off. So the gimbal is going to stay in its current position. So I did try flying it around like that, and I didn't really have much luck with it. You know, thinking it would be like a FPV type mode where it would lean as you flew around. It kind of did, but it did, the gimbal did kind of move, so it didn't really stay in that mode. So I don't know how useful that would be. I just thought it was interesting. There is some other stuff here, level calibration, and it just says in calibration. Let me physically move the gimbal out of level and see what it does. So I just tipped it. So I just took it and I tipped the gimbal sideways, and I'm going to set it back down so it's crooked now. Let me see what happens if I hit it now. Yeah, it still says in calibration, so it didn't really do anything. Use this for what you want. I couldn't really find anything particularly useful with it. I just thought it was, again, interesting that there's these hidden menus in there that you can play with. So check it out, see what you think. As soon as you exit this menu, these go away and you would have to open it back up again. So, but I did find if I turn it off and then I go back out of this menu, see, now you can see that the gimbal is, if I tip it, the gimbal's not functional right now. So it does stay off if you turn it off like that. So to get that gimbal back on, you may have to reboot the drone. You can probably just do an automatic calibration. Let me see what that does. Yeah, see, now that I've done that calibration, now the gimbal is now functional again. You know, go back into the pan tilt zoom adjust and do the calibration. I'll reboot the drone and it will come back on. Oh, and one other side note, I have actually experimented with the different manufacturers' apps and binding them to my SJRC drone, like the Holystone app, Triplefine, Ruko. I've actually downloaded those apps. On most of them, I was able to actually bind and operate the SJRC drone. So you can do use those other apps if you want, if you find some features. Now, some of the features don't work because my drone may have some features that those equivalent other manufacturers don't have. So, you know, your results may vary, but just if you're curious, yes, I have been able to fly and operate my drone on other manufacturers' apps. One of the ones that I was most interested in is, I think it was one of the Holystone ones that actually had the ability to change camera settings. And it did make some changes, but unfortunately it was only for what it recorded on the phone, I think, if I remember correctly. It didn't change the high-res images and video that was captured by the drone. So it wasn't really helpful, but they do function, so if you're interested, you could experiment with those as well. So those are the interesting things I found in these menus. Go ahead and play around with that. If you find something else that you found on these in these drones or in these menus that might be interesting to others, put them in the comments below and share those so we can see if we can find some ways to unlock some cool hidden features that they may have. One upcoming video I may do, if there's interest in it, put in the comments below if you are. I've got a modification that I've come up with for these batteries that I think is going to add potentially a significant amount of flight time with modifying the battery and adding some extra cells to it. If that sounds interesting to anybody, let me know in the comments below. I'll put together a video on that, but I've got some other batteries that I'm going to modify, and that should be kind of an interesting test. You may see some affiliate links below. I would appreciate the support for the channel. If you found something useful in this, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.